Welcome to the recap show on the Baseball Awakening podcast with Geoff Rottmayer. Today we will discuss the lessons learned and the action items from yesterday's interview.
Hey guys, Geoff Rottmayer here with the Baseball Awakening recap show, where I share with you the biggest takeaway I got from my conversation with Perry Husband, as well as how I plan to implement what I've learned with my players that train with me in my academy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Again, as I always say, we want to hear from you because different things mean different things to different people. So it'd be interesting to see how you guys interpreted something that Perry said or something that I'm going to say here today. And I'm going to make a show where I read these emails because we can all learn from it. So my email is going to be Geoff, Geoff, at baseballawakening.com. So give me your thoughts, your comments, or your feedback. Okay, so my conversation with Perry Husband, my biggest takeaway is I still got a lot to learn. I did learn a lot in this conversation, but I still have a lot more to learn. So this can be a little bit of a different conversation, because my action item for you is to educate yourself. So, and that's what I'm going to do. And as a matter of fact, as soon as I got off the phone with him, I went on his site, hittingittheget.com, and bought a few things just to improve my knowledge. You know, I've been studying his work for a couple of years now, maybe a little longer than that, and it's not the easiest thing to understand, you know, and I think that's why it's not so mainstream as it should be. But it's starting to kind of get out there, you know, but there's definitely a lot of education and really getting yourself to understand things. So this conversation can be a little different. I'm going to kind of point out some things that I thought were really interesting, that he tried. So it started with Perry wanting to figure out how to help his hitters and his quest to understanding what was the best and most optimal way to swing the bat. And so he tried all the different methods that are out there and he measured it. You know, and the measurement that he did were the active ball speed and the launch angle test. And what he found was that a lot of these methods weren't producing the best numbers until he found, you know, a way that he teaches, which is what he got from when he was coaching the golf swing. So what he found with the golf swing into the baseball swing, that he was able to produce the numbers and he was able to produce efficiency and effectiveness with the swing. So I think, you know, the fact that he even tried it because he was fascinated in golf, you have to be nearly perfect with your swing to be able to consistently hit it straight. If not, then you're going to be, if you're off a few degrees, you're going to be all over the course. So I think it's interesting that he kind of took that thought process into the baseball, and it makes sense when you think about it. You know, he talked about how in the golf industry they tested and they measured it. They tested, you know, the lead arm being stretched out. They tested getting off the backside. These are all the things that they kind of tested, and everybody industry kind of agreed. So he created kind of that same thought process. You know, he teaches the lead arm got to be kind of barred out a little bit, and that's what he believed is that stretch into the swing, and then he believed in getting off on that backside. So I think it's interesting that he figured that out, and really that getting off the back and getting the arm barred out is kind of taboo in the baseball world, but he's been able to test it, and he's been able to get the best numbers in terms of exit velocity and launch angles. So we'll see where it goes. You know, getting off the backside, I think a lot of people agree with that. We don't want to sit back and just push the bug or get stuck on our backside. We want to get off our backside, and I think a lot of people agree with that. So we'll see. You know, it's interesting. You know, his whole experiment and his thought process behind it was very interesting to listen to and to kind of understand. You know, his thought process. And then, you know, his other thing is, you know, he called what he called, you know, 100-100, meaning that the mechanics are on point 100% of the time, and the timing on point 100% of the time. And I think this is where the understanding of EV at the hitter kind of comes into play. And in my opinion, I could be wrong, but sitting on a speed so that you can get your best swing off and the best timing to produce the optimal result, I think is, and he teaches, a lot of guys are sitting on speed, and a lot of times they're late. And I can see whenever I watch, hitters, I'm actually seeing that now. I'm actually seeing that a lot of guys are actually late with their timing, in terms of the 100 model that he created. And then, I asked him, and I think it was, I asked him, I said, so why measure the active ball speed? What was the thought process there? And basically he said, it was a way to quantify and to stop the guessing when it comes to how hard guys are hitting balls. Because there were guys that did not fit the mold of what scouts and things were looking for. So they weren't really getting the opportunity. So he wanted to put a speed to it and show them that, yeah, hey, guys that are hitting the ball harder may not fit the mold, but they're still your better hitters. So he thinks that, if you produce the optimal swing and you produce the high active ball speed with good launch angle, you're going to be better than the guy who doesn't fit the mold, or who does fit the mold but doesn't necessarily have the right type of swing or the active ball speed or the carry that it should be. Now, I think it's a metric that guys need to work on improving, the active ball speed and matching your active ball speed with your launch angle. So, but I do think that we kind of get carried away with it. Some guys, are trying to swing out of their shoe to get the numbers. Some guys are swinging too far up and trying to get the launch angle. It's getting kind of carried away, I think, a little bit. But, at the end of the day, you want your game swing to produce the high active velocity, because at the end of the game day performance is what matters. So, if you're strong, you have good mechanics, you're consistently squaring up the baseball, the numbers will be there, but you got in training, this is a big thing, so there's kind of a big thing right now, training, to improve active velocity, so I think it's a great thing, but I also think that we got to train the game swing and not cave swings. The other thing that I asked Perry was to kind of explain effective velocity for the people who don't understand it. And essentially what he was saying was the balls that are away from you and the balls that are kind of down low in the zone, it's perceived to be slower. And then the balls that are closer to you and up, it's perceived to be faster because of, where your bat has to be when you swing. And I think for the most part, people understand that part. Where I think most people don't understand, and this is the education part, is the sequencing between the pitches. So he talked about the 6 EV miles per hour speed. You want your pitches to be about 6 EV miles per hour speed apart. So many pitchers and many coaches are they're sequencing. They're not really understanding the proper sequence and understanding how to use that to set up their next pitches. So I think that's the part that we're missing. And you're starting to see some pitchers really understand that, really get it. So, Perry said, hitters are not as good reacting. So we have to strategically move the ball around the zone so we can miss that sweet spot of the barrel, with good timing. So, understanding that the hitters and understanding the sequence based on EV is a big part that Perry's trying to get across. And, like he said, there's a lot of education involved in understanding the EV process, and again, I that's my biggest takeaway, that I still got a lot to learn. I learned a lot in this conversation, but there's still a lot more to learn. And I think it's different now that I've been able to kind of get on the phone with him. it was I had a different level of understanding. So I think it could be that way when you see him in person, you know. So I think the conversation format's gonna allow you to pick up the EV concept a little better. I'm gonna get Perry back on the phone at some point, and we'll record another call and try to advance this thing. But anyways, but yeah, so that's the whole concept, you know. So, and then the last part I want to kind of talk about was, I love the part where he says that data is not science, and the data is only as good as it's interpreted. It's just a theory until it's been tested. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the data game and having it, but just don't understand what to do with it, or really do anything with it. And I think you definitely need to head in this direction of understanding the data. But you need to start slow. You know, start to kind of understand what you know, take you know, a blast motion sensor and take that information and really start to understand it and understand how it works and how you can get better results from it. So I think a lot of guys get intimidated by it because they don't understand it enough, instead of just starting the process. Or we have guys that are kind of stuck in their ways, and it becomes a problem because the players want to be the best version of themselves. So you should encourage that as their coach and instructor, is show them some of the numbers that are out there that can help them. So again, this was a great conversation. It was actually a pretty awesome conversation. So again, my biggest takeaway is I still got a lot to learn about it, and I've taken the action already. You know, I've gone on hittingoftheguest.com and got them in a program to further my understanding of the EV concept. So biggest takeaway: get educated. And it's really just that simple. Get educated and try to implement a little bit of what you're learning. So thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.